Check, check. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's go! Hey, and welcome to another installment of Growing the Game with Ballsy. I got a great interview coming up with former Riders head coach and current special teams coordinator, the Calgary Stampeders, Craig Dickenson. Second time in his career he's been the special teams coordinator of the Stamps. So we will talk to Dickie here coming up in a bit. Show's brought to you by a number of great sponsors. Ward Tirecraft, 101 Dudney. I put it on, but I don't look good in hats. Ward Tirecraft, 101 Dudney Avenue. Go in and see Michael Barth and the gang. Get your winter tires on. As I talk now, another blizzard rolling through Saskatchewan. Get 10% off your tires by saying Ballsy sent you. Also, District Brewing. I went out. I took Tim Young out for a nice lunch at Earl's. And I'll tell you what, man, that guy is one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. He could buy and sell everybody in the restaurant probably 10, 15 times, but you'd never know it. He is a part of District Brewing, and he helped get on board or get the company on board. So thanks to him, Joe and the gang, for getting on board with District Brewing and their Super Squeeze seltzers, Mango Lime, Passion Fruit Lime. Go check out their establishment on 8th Avenue and all their products in participating Saskatchewan liquor stores. Paul Waldo at Royal LePage getting the real estate game with the three-time Grey Cup champ, 306-502-5355. Gerhardt Studios, Nicole and Dean Gerhardt, great group there, 1779 Macaris Street. Also, AGT Foods Canada, my friend Murad El Khatib, his wife Michelle, and Murad's brother Omar, thanks to AGT Foods Canada for getting on board. All right. So since we last talked, a few things going on, especially in the football world. CFL, Riders with a couple of signings. Noah Zer from Yorkton. Some people call him Zer. I don't know. Has there been a pronunciation change? If he has changed his name, he never told me it's Zer. But I've always called him Noah Zer. Drafted by the BC Lions a few years ago, went to Hamilton, came to Saskatchewan, filled in very admirably when the Riders had injury problems on their offensive line. They re-signed him to a one-year deal. And Jaden Dalkey's re-signed to the Rough Riders football team, a one-year deal. I was not going to lie to you, I was shocked that Jaden Dalkey was re-signed. Now, it's not like I didn't think he's a good football player, because I do, and I like him as a kid. I was just, he was in the doghouse last year. He was scratched for a few games, heard the coach didn't talk to him for a few games, and he's, but by the end he was playing, and there you go. He's back in the fold. Jaden Dalkey. That's a great signing. I love the Dalkey missile. Great football player, hard-nosed football player, and it's great that he's back. Couple of nice, good Canadian pieces. You win in this league with quarterbacking and Canadians. Speaking of quarterbacking, as we kind of thought here, Cody Fajardo would stay in Montreal or he'd go to Edmonton, and Montreal trades him to Edmonton for the rights to McLeod Bethel-Thompson. Now, MBT is a free agent, but it looks like he's leaning towards, if he can get a deal, a nice fair deal, he will sign in Montreal as the backup to Davis Alexander, which is great. You'd say to yourself, though, why would they get rid of Cody? Won him a Grey Cup there. Well, Cody wasn't going to be a backup in Montreal. He sees himself as a starter, and I know he's not going to start in Edmonton, but the thing is, he couldn't stay in Montreal where he won a Grey Cup, and it just wasn't going to work. So that's a great trade by Machocha, sending him to Edmonton, and at least they get something back for Cody, a chance to negotiate with McLeod Bethel-Thompson, because Cody is owed a $200,000 signing bonus in January. We'll see if the Elks renegotiate that, because they're due to pay, if he reaches all his incentives, Trey Ford $1.2 million over 3 years. So Cody gets a chance to probably have an incentive-laden deal there, come off the bench if Ford falters, and maybe take away the starting spot. And in Montreal, they've turned the keys over to Davis Alexander, and McLeod Bethel-Thompson goes there with, chance to probably be the best backup in the league. And when you think about it, or what I've heard is McLeod Bethel-Thompson didn't want to have re-signed in Edmonton because he wasn't happy that he was kind of in the lineup, out of the lineup. Guy had 24 touchdowns and 11 interceptions last year. So I heard he didn't really like backing up Trey Ford. He didn't want to play second fiddle to Trey Ford. He'll go to Montreal, and I guess it's more adequate or, better for him to play second fiddle to Davis Alexander. And we'll see what happens there. Davis Alexander's been given the keys to the car in Montreal. So we'll see if he resigns there. But the Alouettes at least get a chance to resign him and not have to cut Cody and get nothing out of the deal. The Arizona Cardinals and safety Budda Baker agreed to terms on a 3-year contract extension, $54 million, $30 million guaranteed. It's a good signing. Budda Baker's a great football player. The Atlanta Falcons have benched Kirk Cousins. He's still owed like $26 million, but they benched him for Michael Penix. I think in the last handful of games, he has 2 touchdowns and 9 interceptions. Only had 112 yards passing last week in a 15-9 win over Vegas. And another prominent NFL figure becomes a college head coach. It's Mike Vick. He'll be the new head coach at Norfolk State University. 2 sides agreed to terms on Tuesday. Now, of course, Vick is one of the best running quarterbacks in the NFL in the last maybe ever. Southpaw quarterback, good with Atlanta early, but went to jail for dogfighting charges, redeemed his career with the Philadelphia Eagles, then later with the Pittsburgh Steelers. But Philly, Andy Reid gave him another I think it was Andy Reid. Was it Andy Reid? Yeah, it was Andy Reid. And then Andy Reid left, and it was Chip Kelly. But he's done a great job rehabilitating his image, coming back from the dogfighting. It's funny. People didn't want him back in the NFL. There was protesting, but they let guys who beat women and, do all type of crazy things against other humans come back. No big deal. But Michael Vick, and I'm not diminishing what he did, not saying that was okay, but we're talking animals versus people. That's what I always found interesting about that. But anyways, Michael Vick is back, and his redemption tour continues at Norfolk State University. So that's some good news there for Michael Vick. And I watched almost the entire first episode of Enigma, which was the Aaron Rodgers. It's a 3-part series on Aaron Rodgers and leaving Green Bay and then his recovery from his Achilles injury with the Jets and going on kind of his hallucinogenic retreat. Haven't got to those episodes yet, but I just and then they're doing one. You know how we had Drive to Survive, and there's the golfing one, and NHL did Face Off. Well, apparently a camera crew followed around a bunch of SEC college football teams and FBS Division I football, NCAA. So that'll be great. It's on Netflix. But it just goes back to the CFL has missed the boat on this, man. Like global players. We're going to be the global league. No, you missed the boat on that. Oh, social media. Well, it's great. The teams are doing social media now, but you kind of missed the boat on that too. And they'll be 3 years late on this as well. When I was doing the Rider broadcast, my first year, they asked for audio from the Labor Day game that they were going to use in some great film, this film producer, and I won't mention his name. And apparently it's still in the works. Well, it'd be outdated now. They'd have to get some updated audio. But it's like you're missing the boat. The CFL just is piss poor when it comes to this type of stuff. And I know it will never be in the NFL level, but you got to get into the streaming. You got to get into this world. Traditional media is almost dead because the suits and the penny pinchers, the bean counters have killed it. It's almost dead. The one thing radio had over anything, it was the original social media and immediacy. Over if something happens, boom, you get it. Half the programs now, they're voice track, meaning it's out of market voices. They can't come to your community bowl-a-thon, or they can't go to your fundraiser, or if something's burning down in your city, or there's a catastrophe and the radio announcer doesn't mention it. It's not because the radio announcer is clueless. It's because the radio announcer voice tracked that on a Thursday and this is now a Saturday, or did it on a Wednesday and this is a Friday. They don't give you the time. They don't give you the temps. They just give you the song, little little bit that's been, we call evergreen. You can use it at any time on any station. So yeah, traditional media is dying. And I'm not going to be here to say, oh, down with traditional media, because I was in traditional media and I have a lot of respect for people in it still. But they're killing it. They're killing it. Streaming, podcasting, social media, this is where it is now. It's taken off. You cannot ignore it. You might not like it, but you can't ignore it. To be honest with you, I didn't like it at the start either. And there are still some things about it I don't like. But this is the new way. And people are digging this. They can get it live. They can get it when they want. So here we go. This is Ballsy Uncut. Tell all your friends. We got a couple of more shows before the end of the year. I'm hoping to catch up with Caleb Joseph, the former catcher for the Jays and the Orioles, who's a Sportsnet panelist on Blue Jays baseball. We'll talk to him about the offseason stuff going on in baseball. Lots going on. Juan Soto to the Mets, Crochet trade to the Red Sox. Bellinger just got traded, I believe, from the Cubs to the Yankees. So, yeah, lots going on. What are the Jays going to do? Lots going on. And that stupid maybe proposed golden bat rule by Rob Manfred, the terrible commissioner of Major League Baseball, in my opinion. But up next, former Riders coach Craig Dickenson, and now the special teams coordinator for the Calgary Stampeders. This is Ballsy Uncut. All right, well, I haven't talked to this guy in a while. How are you, friend?
I'm good, Michael. How are you doing?
Doing well. Well, I actually, truth be told, I have talked to you. We were in the, I mean, like this. We were in the stands at a Dinos game. You were there working with the Stamps, obviously, and I was watching my kid play. So we did have a brief conversation.
That's right. Yeah,
how did the season go? Like for yourself, not being in.
I enjoyed the heck out of it. We didn't win as many games as we would have liked, but it was fun for me. It gave me a chance to do something a little different. I was still coaching, but on a very different sort of level than I was previously, obviously in Sask. But I got a chance to travel a little bit and do a little bit of personnel work, which was enjoyable. And then I got a chance to honestly just sit back and watch and learn and see how Calgary does things, So it was fun. I didn't have the grind that I was used to for the last 25 years. But I did enjoy it. But it also showed me, Michael, I miss coaching. So I'm happy to say that I'm getting back involved in coaching and going to be doing the special teams this year. So
what did you learn about yourself in that little hiatus, so to speak, or kind of where you took a step off the gas?
I learned a lot. We hear this all the time, right? You learn through adversity, and obviously that there was some of that, the fact that I wasn't brought back to Saskatchewan, and I had to kind of sit back and decide, what direction do I want to go? Do I want to go down to the U.S. and maybe look at coaching in the States again, because I am from the United States? But the Canadian League has grown on me over the years. I've gotten to know the people in the league like yourself and others that I just really enjoy being around and interacting with. And I've learned that I need to coach. I've learned that I need to be a hands-on sort of guy. Like, I was able to do personnel and travel and scout, and I enjoyed that. But to me, it's I'm a coach, and I figured that out pretty quickly. I miss the games. I miss the interaction with the players. I miss being on the field. I miss moving around with my body. I'm not good sitting still. I know somebody else like that.
Yeah, you got that right.
And so I learned that. So you embrace who you are and what you like to do. I was able to strengthen some relationships, along the way this last year too. People that I hadn't visited with and connected with for a long time, and especially my family back home, and see them a little bit more. And I spend a little more time with my friends back here, and also just spend a little bit of time really just doing some things that I haven't done in a long time. I went fishing for a week during the summer. I went and spent a week with my folks, and went back and fly fished in the mountains, and rode my bike a lot more than I normally do. But I will say this, I learned this, Michael, I miss coaching, and that's what I do. That's who I am. So I'm happy to say I'm back doing that.
What did you like about being a head coach?
What I did like the interactions being a head coach. You get a chance to interact with every person on the team, and you do the same thing as a special teams coordinator also, which is great. And I think that's why I like both of those roles so much. The other thing I really liked about being a head coach is you get a chance to set the tone or the message each and every day. You know, you get a chance to choose. Are we going to be positive today, or are we going to be a little negative? And you, as the head coach, have the ability to decide what that message is. And I think that's what I miss. That's what I liked the most about being a head coach is you had the ability to go into that room at 8:30 or 9, whenever that meeting started, and set the tone for the day. And I chose for it to be positive 99.9% of the time because that's who I am. And I think that's a good thing. You feel like you're having a positive impact on people when you can do that.
Okay, so the other side, Craig, what didn't you like about being a head coach? Was there something you
Well,
weren't?
I missed some of the coaching, to be honest, because being a head coach pulls you away from that.
Mm-hmm.
And then and I didn't miss trying to put together, like, it's hard to put together a real cohesive and good staff year after year in such a small league, because you see guys go. It's happened again this year. Guys are leaving. So I missed that. I didn't like that so much. The fact that you had to, it seems like, start from square one a lot of times each year with your staff. But and some of that was on me because I made changes. But I didn't dislike a whole lot of things about being a head coach. I enjoyed most of it.
So in this time where you've had a chance to reflect a little bit, would there be something different you would have done as the head coach of the Rough Riders?
Oh, yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot of things. If you're a self-reflective person, which I am in general, which most of us are, like, we're all trying to get better in life. You think back on things and you think, okay, if I had that to do that over again, how would I do it differently? And there's a lot of things. But the other thing is you don't have necessarily the control or the ability to do it differently. Sometimes the ball just bounces a certain way, and you have to play the cards you're dealt. So there was a lot of things I would have done differently, but not a whole bunch in terms of my approach to the job, my interactions with the people in the offices, and my interactions with the players. I felt like we were bang on in how we did that, and we stayed true to ourselves as a coaching staff in how we interacted with them.
Hey, Dickie, how much gonna miss coaching against your brother at a high level?
I'm not gonna miss that because I'm looking forward to being on the same team with my brother, working together to try to win games together. And the nice thing about being on the sideline this next year is I'll get a chance to get in his ear a little bit, and he'll get in mine in terms of strategy. I feel like we've got a lot of experience between the two of us. And then you look at Bob Slowick, who's going to be our defensive coordinator. The guy's been coaching forever, got tremendous success under his belt. Bo Baldwin, who's been a head coach for many years in the NCAA. I feel like, and I'll tangent this, I feel like that staff in Calgary has got a ton of experience, and I think David did a really nice job of putting together a mix of experience and youthful energy in that staff. And I'm really looking forward to just basically visiting with Dave during a game and seeing where we stand in terms of our philosophy. And I really am looking forward to just coaching with him this year as opposed to against him.
So have you guys ever coached together? Help me out. Has that happened before?
Yeah, yes, we have, but it was really early on. Like, we were on the same team, believe it or not, in the NFL in 2001, San Diego.
Right.
Yeah, he was a third string quarterback. I was a special teams assistant. So there wasn't a lot of crossover, but we were on the same team. He was a player. Yeah. And then same goes in Calgary. When I came up to Canada, I was on Huffnagel's staff in Calgary.
Yeah, right.
And Dave was our backup in 2008.
Yeah.
When we won it with Henry Burris. And then 2009, David got into coaching as the running backs coach, and I was special teams. So I guess you could say 1 year we coached together in 2009.
But it's different now. You're both more mature, like in terms of the things you've done in football. So how much do you think your 5 years in Saskatchewan as the head coach will help him out? Because we talked about this in the stands. I have the utmost admiration for your brother, not only as a player, but as a coach. He didn't get stupid overnight. Let's be honest. Sometimes people think coaches get stupid overnight. Okay.
Yeah.
There are other factors, but I do think your brother had too much on his plate. He's one man. That's just my opinion, whether you agree or not. But how much do you think you can help relieve some of that stuff? Because you were a head coach.
Well, I think I can help a little bit for sure. I mean, the one thing I think you, as an assistant, your primary role as an assistant is a supportive role. So I'm not going to certainly be telling Dave what I think he should do or shouldn't do all the time, but I will support him in his decision. And there'll be a time and a place. Mainly, it's usually not on game day; it's the day before or the day after, where you start talking about philosophically, what would you do in this scenario, Craig, or Dave? What are you thinking in this scenario? I would ask him. So, and the other thing is, I just feel like that the assistant's role as supporters of the head coach, I think there's a comfort level. I think that's why you see. And I know sometimes it drives the fans crazy to see coaches hire the same guys year after year, or the guy they worked with 20 years ago or whatever. But there's a level of comfort that you need to have as a head coach in knowing that the people around you see the game the same way as you, understand the game the same way as you. So you don't have to tell them what to do. I think that's the thing about experience is so often we say, well, what's the experience mean? Here's what the experience means. When we're in a situation late in the game and we need the ball back, Dave's going to know what I'm going to call because I see the game the same way. When we need to make a play on special teams, he's not going to have to come to me and say, hey, go after him here. He already knows that I know that.
Yeah.
So I think that's the value. Same on defense. He's not going to have to go to Bob and say, Bob, heat him up here, because Bob's going to see the game the same way as Dave. And I think you get that by working together throughout the week, by being around each other often throughout the years of coaching, and by having that comfort level with your assistant coaches. I think that gives Dave the ability to focus on strategy more, and he's not having to tell you what you already know because you see the game the same way.
Early in my career, I interviewed Ron Lancaster, and he told me that. He said, you know what, much like you said, and it's kind of what you just said there. He goes, at this level, you don't have time to babysit guys. I don't have time to babysit a coach. Like, yes, it's nice to get new blood and bring guys up for sure, but I don't have time to. We don't have 22 coaches on the staff. I don't have time to babysit.
Yeah. And as a head coach, I've been in his shoes. You look back and you go, well, maybe I should have told the coach to call this. But the reality is, you shouldn't have to if you have the right assistants. The assistants should see the game the same way. You should have gone over it. Like Bill Belichick says, you should have gone over it 100 times anyways, which we will and which we've done. And Dave no longer has to feel like he has to tell the offensive coach what to call, or the defensive coach what to call, or the special teams coach when to pressure and when to run a return, because we've seen the game the same way. We've worked together long enough that we know, and it frees Dave up. That gives him the comfort level, in my opinion, Ballsy, to do a better job and to not actually have to focus on things that really he shouldn't have to worry about.
Hey, Dickie, do you and your brother butt heads? Have you butted heads as young guys? Like, what's it like?
Well, for sure. Like, I butt heads. We butt heads with everybody, right? We see, well, especially when it comes to evaluating players. Like, he'll say, I like this guy better than this guy. And I'll say, no, I like that guy better than the guy you like. And it is what it is, right? And at the end of the day, you make a decision based on the information you got. And sometimes it works out, and sometimes it doesn't. But I will say this, there's never been a smarter player I've been around in all my years of coaching, and I'm not the only one saying that. He was basically a whisker from going in against the Oakland Raiders when he was playing for the Seattle Seahawks back in 2003. I was up here by then, and he'd been in the building. Literally, he'd been in Holmgren's offense for 3 days, and they were going to put him in, and he was going to run the offense in 3 days, and that's not a simple offense to run over there.
No.
And the coach at the time that was in charge of Dave was Jim Zorn, who's I don't know where he's at now, but he's a longtime Seattle Seahawks quarterback. Yeah. And he told me after the fact, because I've gotten to know the coaches over the years, that he was the only guy that they felt could actually run the offense with 2 or 3 days of practice. Wow. And all his years of coaching guys. So there's nobody smarter, and I think we're gonna be a better team this year, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it plays out.
Okay, so when I heard Kadeem Carey say what he said after the Grey Cup, I thought, okay, that's a guy that's disgruntled. You get disgruntled people, right? And then you hear a few other things. In your opinion, from a 35,000-foot view, just being there 1 year, is that a bad rap with the Stampeders?
Yeah,
Stampeders got a bad rap.
I think that was disgruntled player talking all the way, and I get it. Everybody has a right to be upset. He was going through the same emotions we've all gone through when we've been let go, or hey, people move on. Like we've all been in relationships where the other person decides it's not working for me, and they break it off. And it's the same in your work. There's times when you feel like it's going great and you don't see it coming. And that's it. That's, I think, what he's talking about. Now, hats off to him for having a great year in Toronto.
Yeah.
And Coach Dinwiddie and that staff, I mean, they've done a great job. I mean, you have to give them complete credit. But to come out, I thought it was bad taste by Dunk. I'm going to be honest with you. Like, he had all this opportunity to interview a guy and talk about the Grey Cup win, celebrating with your teammates. How does it feel to be the champs? And yet he took it to what's going on in Calgary and tell us how bad they are. And I felt like the kid took the bait and ran with it. And so I think it was a bad rap. I don't think it was deserved. But I also understand where Kadeem was coming from. And if that's the way he feels, that's the way he feels. But I hope we can move on from that, because I think that was just an emotional segment that probably didn't even need to happen. I'm kind of disappointed that Dunk even brought it up.
So I'll keep you for a couple more quick questions. You've helped me actually get through some stuff here to look through the windshield, not the rear view mirror. But I got to ask you, did you get because I think, listen, I've always been a supporter of yours. I think, I was here to watch a lot of shitty football in my life as a kid growing up, everything. Okay. And yes, the last 2 years you were here weren't great. We all know that. Okay. But previous to that, we were a crossbar away from going to a Grey Cup with a quarterback that wasn't supposed to be the starting quarterback after you took the job late. And then COVID hits. I mean, that's just a weird, wacky thing. And then you guys turn the football over 5 times, force the Bombers into 5 turnovers in the West Final, and can't win the game with 18 guys in the injured reserve. Like, sometimes I think we're prisoners of the moment. Like, this guy sucks. Well, he didn't suck here for those. Like, Dave doesn't suck. Like, Dave's won a Grey Cup. You know what I'm saying? So you, Craig Dickenson, was there a point where you're like, man, I'm getting a bad rap here?
I don't know. Here's what I think. I think head coaches, much like quarterbacks, get way too much credit when things go well, and they get way too much blame when things don't go well. And we know that when we take the job, and the quarterbacks know that when they sign the contract. I don't think I ever felt like I was getting a bum rap in terms of my work ethic and the work ethic of the team, with the exception of the one article where we took them bowling and Daryl Davis thought that was a bad idea. But if you're winning, that's a great idea, because you're team bonding, right? And how many articles do we see where if the team bonds off the field, that translates to success on the field? If you're not winning, that means you're not working hard enough, evidently. So I do think there's a time and a place where you do the best you can as a head coach, and you're going to get more credit than you deserve when things go well, and you've got to be able to stay humble. And you also know that you're going to get more blame than you probably deserve when things don't go well, and you've got to stay hungry. That's the old saying. You got to be hungry, and you got to be humble to have success in life. And so it is what it is. I don't regret any time in Saskatchewan, and I still enjoy many of those folks out there that were writing good things about me when we were winning, and then maybe not so good when we were losing. But they have a job to do too, and they're just trying to generate interest from the fans. And so they're doing what they got to do to survive too.
Must be nice to be on the side. Like, you had a good kicker in Saskatchewan, Brett Lothar. There's nothing against him, but it must be nice to know when the guy comes on the field, Renee Paradis.
Oh yeah.
It's like basically automatic, and it doesn't matter if it's from 35 or 55. Like that guy's getting better with age, like you did.
Yeah, he's impressive. I knew Renee was good when I was coaching against him, but I got even more respect working with him and watching him up close. The guy just does the little things right. And that's what we tell the players all the time. It's the little things that matter, fellas. And he does the little things right. He works out 2 or 3 times a week. He kicks the same amount of balls, whether he's making them all or missing them all. Like he is just such a structured, disciplined pro. I think when you say professional, I think Renee epitomizes the word professional. He's just outstanding in his preparation. And I think that's why you see him having some success each and every year. And you're right. He didn't look like he lost a step at all this year. He's kicking the ball better than I've ever seen him kick. And he's a guy that brings great confidence, Michael, to the whole team.
So 2 more questions for you, and then I'll let you go. You were mentioning, man, do I go back to the States? Do I stay in Canada? Our game's better because it's way more fun to be a special teams player / coach in this league because
Agreed.
You actually have to do something with the football.
Agreed.
I
agree with you on that. I mean, it's one of my greatest sorrows is when I have to turn on a game and not necessarily college, although college is getting that way too, but there's so little special teams now in the NFL and in U.S. football. And I think they've done it for the right reasons. They're trying to take the kickoff out of the game because it's so violent. But our game's better for the special teams. There's no question. And I had many a special teams coach call me from the States and ask about how do you do this? How do you do that? They're trying like crazy to try to come up with a way to get some schematic advantage over the opponent. And the rules just limit everything you can do so much that it's hard to do that. Like on kickoff, you can't even have a surprise onside anymore.
Oh, it's stupid.
You got to have 5 to this side, 5 to that side. You can either kick it right or left. If you kick it middle, I guess, too, if you want. But there's so little you can do, Michael. You're right. And it limits the ability of that player who was a tough, athletic kid in college, but maybe didn't have a great, maybe didn't have a position per se. It gives him a chance to still make a team because he can play all 4 of those big 4 special teams and run down the field and make plays. And right now in the NFL, you're right. There's not a lot of opportunities for that guy to show he should be on the team.
So lastly, Coach, it must be good on mom and dad that they don't have to pick sides now.
I think so. Now we just got to get them up to Canada. We got them up last year for a game.
Yeah.
We're going to get them up again. I feel so lucky, Michael. Both my parents are alive and well and healthy.
Yeah.
They're moving a little slower, but hey, I am too, but we're still moving. We're still doing our thing. And my sister and her family from Oregon, I'm hoping to get them up as well. And there's just a lot of really, really great people out there that I've had a chance to meet over the years. I met some wonderful people in Regina, Saskatoon. I met some just awesome people up there. And, I hope to see everybody down the road at the stadium, whether they're wearing green or red. I don't care. Just be at the game and support the CFL because it's a great league. So
you're in Montana, 52-year-old guy. Are you still snowboarding?
Still snowboarding, and I might even go this afternoon. We'll see. It snowed last night. I did a little bit of work this morning before talking with you. I'm busy looking at draft guys for this upcoming draft, including your son, by the way. So good luck to Ethan in his workouts, and he's gonna get a shot somewhere. I just hope we'll just see how it goes. But he's earned the right to get drafted. So, anyways, it's been a good off season so far, and Merry Christmas. If I don't see you before then, it's coming soon.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, not about my son, but I am going to bring this up, and I want to ask you while you look at this tape, okay? My son, because he was right there, hands on. I said, Ethan, what's the difference between like FCS and what we're seeing at U Sports? He said, Dad, everybody on the FCS team was the best player on their team coming to the school, whereas it kind of drops off a bit. But he said there's some guys up here that could play. So I'm just seeing, can you notice on tape how much the Canadian talent has gotten better over the years at the U Sports level is what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's super noticeable, Michael. I mean, we were mentioning this 10 years ago when all of us coaches were at the CFL Combine. We've all said the quality of athlete coming out of U Sports is better than it's ever been. And that was 10 years ago. And it's better now than it was 10 years ago. And secondly, the quality of the coaching is much higher. You can see that as well. Excuse me. The coaches are doing a good job of putting in schemes and putting in plans for the players to have success. And you can just see the players now. They're training more. You could just tell, like, it's not just a 3.5, 4 month thing for them anymore. You can tell these guys are training year round, because when they come up to the combine or we see them in person, you can look at them and you can say, this guy isn't just a youth sports player. This guy is preparing to be a pro. And so, yeah, it's outstanding. I mean, and just take a look at the number of Canadians in the NFL if you want to see. Yeah. That is drastically changed. And guys, they're not just there; they're playing.
Yeah,
I mean, they're not just on the team; they're actually playing.
Yeah,
and like, for example, that Michael Hoyt that came out years ago from, I think, Brown, some Ivy League school, defensive lineman. We really liked him in Sask. We thought he might get a shot in the NFL. He's just starting D lineman for the Los Angeles Rams now.
Yeah.
97.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't even know he's Canadian. And he wasn't even a first round pick for us. So there's getting to be some dudes from Canada that are having success in the NFL, and good for them. I mean, it's just a credit to the coaches in Canada that they're preparing these kids, and then a credit to the kids for putting in the work and really learning how to train, because athletically they're as good as anybody.
Dickie, thanks for this. Merry Christmas to you and your family. Can't wait to see you. Yeah, I really apologize. This streaming service goes wonky from time to time. Just cut off the end of that interview with Dickie. It was only a couple more seconds. But thanks to Craig Dickenson for joining me. Got a hold of him yesterday. And, we're the leaders of football talk in Canada at all the levels. And I know when he left here, people were happy he was gone. Good guy, good coach. His special teams players swear by him. He had 2 really good years as the Rough Riders head coach. The third year was COVID, and the other 2 weren't great. But he wasn't only to blame for that. So he'll land on his feet, and he'll be a welcome addition to that Stampeders coaching staff. And they need a guy like Craig Dickenson to help his brother Dave out. Because like I said, I think Dave has a lot on his plate. So it's good that they've got the Slovic as the veteran defensive coordinator and a veteran special teams guy in Craig Dickenson. Of course, Mark Killam, longest serving assistant coach in the CFL, goes to Edmonton now as the head coach, and we hope he does great things there because the league is better with the strong Edmonton team. Okay, a reminder, my day job now is at Crestview Chrysler, 601 Albert Street. If you'll come in and you get a car from me, couple things. If you send somebody and they get a vehicle and buy it, and they say they were referred to me by you, and that person buys the vehicle, $300 cash for you, just for a referral. Also, if you buy a vehicle from me between now and the end of January, you're in the running for 2 tickets to the Riders home opener. I don't know who it's against. The schedule hasn't been released yet. And a Joe Obsidian Green jersey that I picked up, purchased it, and Ballsy Uncut Media Inc. did it. And I'll try to get a Joe to autograph that. Guy's been working out for NFL teams. Denver Broncos, along with A.J. Allen and Logan Ferland. 3 great Rider guys working out for the Broncos the other day. And a Joe worked out for the Indianapolis Colts. So who knows? He might end up in the NFL. But I'm going to try to get him to autograph that jersey. But either way, chance for you to win a jersey and nice, beautiful Obsidian Green jersey and 2 tickets to the Riders home opener. There are 3 games you should go to every year. Home opener, Labor Day, if they have a home playoff game. Coming up, so that's Crestview Chrysler. Check me out there. And I'm still going to be doing this podcast regularly, just that I got to have money to fund this. If you want to sponsor the podcast, which some of our sponsors have done, you're more than welcome to. We're going to be coming out with new sponsorship packages, adding a few more regular features to the show. And the numbers are growing, and I'll get to some of those numbers on the next show, the last show of the year. We'll talk about the numbers here, which have actually surprised me in a good way too. So that's going to do it here. Coming up on the last real fresh content show of the year. We're going to have Caleb Joseph, the former Major League catcher, who's also with Rogers Sportsnet, to talk about the off-field news, off-season news. Been some big news, Soto and a few other trades, Tropicana Field blowing away, all those. What are the Jays doing or not doing? We'll talk to Caleb about that. And Jorgen Hughes, who won the Jake Gadar Memorial or Veterans Award for perseverance, leadership, and community service at the CFL Awards during Grey Cup week. We'll talk to the longest serving member of the Rough Riders. That's coming up on the next edition of Ballsy Uncut. We will talk to you then.